Hello, everybody. Welcome into The Cycle, our third video here of the weekend where we are talking about some pitching streamers and, of course, diving into our two-start pitcher competition. I do just want to let everybody know that if you're struggling with lineup decisions, our lineup assistant recommends optimal lineup suggestions to maximize your team's performance each day or week. Just sync your league for tailored guidance based on your roster and league settings. Download the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app or visit fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook to set your winning lineup today. Maher, we kind of were like testing out this streamer section. It's a little different than what we did last year. So last week, what we had you do is just give me some of your favorite streamers of the week, and I kind of responded with my favorite one of the ones you picked. This week, the way you wanted to do it is kind of just go day by day, and who is your favorite streamer on each day of the upcoming week, so that can help people out really throughout the week, rather than just picking names that might be on the same day. Maybe you don't have room for picking up multiple of them on the same day. This will spread it out throughout the whole week, so hopefully that will be helpful to our audience. We are still considering this show a work in progress, so anybody in the comments who has ideas and different ways we can kind of share some of this advice and insights, we are happy to hear what you guys have to think and make any changes that you guys think would be beneficial. So let's dive into our streamers for the week. Who do you have for us Monday through Sunday?
Yeah, so I'll run through the week. And like you said, I wanted to try out this format because it just seemed to make sense. If you're streaming pitchers, you might be in a daily league, or you might just need a streamer for a particular day. And if I'm going to give you a bunch of streamers anyway, it might as well give you 7, covering all 7 days of the week. And I was kind of looking at, I manage the content here at FantasyPros, and I was just looking at some of our early articles, and I had that feedback for the writer doing the weekly article that we do on streaming pitchers. And I was like, if I have that feedback for the writer, might as well do it for the cycle as well. So you can check out this video and also check out that article to see if we overlap, because I'm not using it as a resource. I'm kind of doing this independently based on my own rankings. So we'll see. So diving right in, I'll just run through all of them, and then we can talk about whichever one's your favorite, or we can dive into any of the other ones you want. But for Monday, I have Taijuan Walker against the Giants. Kind of close your eyes and hope that Taijuan Walker continues to pitch like he isn't Taijuan Walker, because he's off to a really strong start. I don't know how long it's going to last, but so far so good. And there weren't a lot of other streaming options on Monday, so that's the one I went with. And I'll just mention, again, we are using the FantasyPros streaming pitcher rankings tool, which is really valuable because it breaks it down by day, gives you consensus roster percentage, and it kind of ranks them by VBR. So you can open up the tool, look at every single day, see what their numbers are, see what the opponents are, and see if it's kind of a favorable matchup or not. So I kind of looked at that tool and went day by day and picked my favorite. Jameson Taillon is also someone I considered for Monday, but he's going at the Padres against Dylan Cease, so I was a little concerned about starting off my week going up against the Padres. Tuesday, Merrill Kelly against the Marlins. A lot of that is just Merrill Kelly is likely to be available in your league, and the Marlins are about the best matchup you can hope for a pitcher, and it's in Miami. So that's kind of the thinking there, is that he's a fine pitcher and they are a bad offense in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. So targeting Merrill Kelly at Miami Marlins as a streamer. Wednesday, the darling of the show, Tyler Mahle, going up against the Angels. He's off to a strong start. They have not gone off to the best start offensively. So they're a favorable hitting matchup, according to our pitcher planner. Going with Thursday, Eduardo Rodriguez, again, going against the Marlins. Is that one? That one's also in Miami. He has not gone off to the best start, but he does have 17 strikeouts in 10 innings, despite his high ERA. But I'm banking on, a solid start, maybe getting a bunch of strikeouts, quality start, and a win against that bad Marlins offense in Miami. Friday was kind of a tough slate to go through pitchers that were either available or that I liked. Casey Mize is obviously on the list, but he's unlikely to be available. But if he is available, I would definitely go with Casey Mize going against the Royals. But by the time, maybe he's still available in your league, but it's probably unlikely at this point. But, if you're on Yahoo or ESPN, he might be available. But I went with Richard Fitts against the White Sox. Again, targeting a bad offense. He should get, the Red Sox offense has woken up a little bit, so he should get some decent run support. Maybe you can get out of there with a win. He hasn't gone off to a great start, but he's gone off to a fine start. And it was kind of a weird day for streaming pitchers. I also, we talked about it before, I kind of like Kyle Hart. He's just an intriguing pitcher from the Padres, but he's at Houston. I didn't love that matchup. And there's a lot of other names on there that I just wasn't really crazy about streaming. So I landed on Richard Fitts against the White Sox because of that matchup. Saturday, Landon Roupp against the Angels. Again, I'm targeting the Angels here. He is the highest recommended pitcher according to the tool. He should be available in your league. If you're in a points league, he is relief pitcher eligible, so that isn't, you can put him in your relief spot. He's off to a fine start. And then Sunday, I have Clarke Schmidt, who I wanted to add a note about this one. Clarke Schmidt, he should be activated earlier in the week, so he's a potential two-start pitcher, a potential two-step, getting the Royals earlier in the week and then the Rays in this start. So it's kind of tricky if you would kind of add him this weekend because he's coming off the injured list, and then you'd have to, if you're in a weekly league, you kind of have to roll him out for two starts, which is, I love streaming two-start pitchers. I would say if this Rays start was like his first start, he might not have been my pick, but because he's a potential two-step and this is the second start, in daily leagues, you can kind of wait if you don't want to roll him up for that first start, and in weekly leagues, you can potentially get two starts out of someone who should be available in your leagues. And then the honorable mention I wanted to include is that Lucas Giolito for the Red Sox should be activated next week and is expected to pitch against the White Sox. I believe it's later in the week if you're in a daily league.
So there's a bunch of great information. We're not going to dive deep into every one of these picks. I think you laid it out really well. I wanted to ask you kind of hit on it on the Schmidt side. I wanted to ask on the other side. The first name you mentioned, Taijuan Walker. Are you interested in him as a two-start pitcher this week? I mean, you kind of made the joke of, well, as long as he's pitching like not Taijuan Walker, obviously was abysmal last year. It's just two starts, but hasn't allowed a run yet. Whip of 113, 9 strikeouts in almost 11 innings. With two starts in the week, is he somebody that interests you in a weekly format, or are you just thinking of him for this first start? I actually don't have up in front of me who his second start would be against, so I forget who that is.
Great call, because I should have probably written that down, because he's a potential two-start. He's supposed to start against the Marlins. So it would not in Miami, but about as favorable as matchup as you can hope for. So yeah, if you're gonna dive into two starts with Taijuan Walker, you would want one of them to be the Marlins, and it is. Although it is in Philadelphia, both of his starts are in Philadelphia. It looks like they're home all week. But in points leagues, it could be kind of tough to stomach rolling Taijuan Walker out there for two starts and just hoping for the best. But at least maybe he won't give you a negative if it's two starts. But I always like streaming two-star pitchers. If you're going to stream someone, stream a two-star pitcher, and if you're going to give me the Marlins as one of them, screw it. Let's do it.
Is he going to be your official pick, speaking of, for a two-start pitcher competition? Do you have the cojones to pick Taijuan Walker? Come on.
I most certainly.
The audience wants you to do it, Maher.
No. Most certainly will not.
All right, let's get into that two-start pitcher competition. Maher in the show sheet was trying to claim a victory already from week one, despite the fact that our pitchers have not made their second starts yet. So I don't know where he was coming from. Of course, Hunter Green is off to a much better start for you than Michael King is for me in that start to week one. So you probably will end up winning week one, but it is not over yet. Maybe Michael King will throw a perfect game against the Rockies, and I'll get that one locked up. So we'll see how that pans out there. You're certainly ahead so far. Week two, though, so Maher has locked in his pick of Taijuan Walker. I will be going with Max Fried. He is at home against the Royals and on the road against the Rays. Those are two bottom 7 teams in terms of runs scored so far this season. So Fried is somebody that I really didn't get a lot of this year. I was sort of turned off, perhaps illogically, by the contract I thought was an overpay given his age and some of the injury stuff Fried has had in the past, and I wasn't sure exactly how he would fit in that tiny stadium now in New York. But he has been strong to start. Obviously, he's coming off a superb game in Detroit, 7 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 11 strikeouts. But even, the week before that, he had 6 strikeouts and 5 2/3, just 1 run allowed on the home run, just 1 walk. His worst outing was that first one against the Brewers, 4 2/3. He gave up 6 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, for whatever it's worth. So overall, he has 21 strikeouts in 17 1/3 innings this year, an ERA of 1.56. So he's been better than not that better than I expected, but I wasn't drafting a lot of him, I will say. And I want to take advantage of two really good matchups and friendly matchups, especially coming off of this really strong start that he had on the 9th. So Fried is my pick. I will allow you to not pick Taijuan Walker. Who do you want instead?
Yeah, but I did just add a note in the sheet. I want to see how Taijuan Walker does next or in the next 2 weeks.
I can't imagine he does better than the name you're picking.
We'll see. I will also say I was avoiding Max Fried in draft season, mostly because you mentioned like the injury history. Like this is a guy who had a forearm scare last year, which like your forearm is connected to your Tommy John. So that is always any forearm injury like concerns me. And then they're just like, how about this enormous contract for a guy who just missed time with a forearm strain, but like he's probably fine. So that would concern me. But I'm going with Tarik Skubal at the Brewers and then versus the Royals. You never know when you're going to get to use these aces in your 2-start pitcher competition, so might as well use them while you can. And he has two, pretty decent matchups, and so he's coming off a really good start. And the getting's good, and line up two lefties against each other. Tarik Skubal versus Max Fried with a little sprinkle of seeing how Taijuan Walker does.
See, this is what I did last year. Is I went with the aces early, and you like scoffed at me the whole year, like, "Oh, you're going to not have them available late," and I will. And I was,
I didn't realize you were going to quit in June.
We knew I didn't quit, first of all. Second of all, it was July, not June. Third of all, I was assigned to focus more on football by the powers that be. It was not my decision, but I didn't complain about it either. All right, Fried versus Skubal here. We will see how those guys do or how Taijuan Walker does. That would be hilarious if he outperformed either or both of them. So we will wrap up there. There's weekend excitement is like the last segment. You had some stuff written down. I kind of wrote nothing. Like I thought this weekend is like, it's exciting because it's baseball and it's early in the season. Like I will watch baseball and be happy about it. And I'm sure stuff that is exciting will happen. But in looking at the slate, there wasn't a lot of like, oh, wow, I can't believe we get to see these two teams. Like maybe Cubs-Dodgers was interesting, but like it wasn't a lot like I can't believe we get to see these two teams, or look at this amazing pitching matchup, or oh, we get the, what return to XYZ. We talked a little bit about some of those guys coming back from injury already, but like I didn't find it to be that interesting of a slate. So what did you find for our weekend excitement? Then we'll get out of here.
Well, real quick, I don't want to bring us backwards, but I'll just mention if you have like streaming pitcher questions or 2-star pitcher questions, drop them in the comments. I'll happy to chat there. And then before I wrap up with weekend excitement, I do want to mention I'll just speed fire through a few like other 2-star pitcher options that we didn't cover. Some of these might not be available in your league, or you might not want to target them, but I'll run through them. Like Merrill Kelly is someone we talked about. He potentially has a start at the Marlins, and then he should start Sunday against the Cubs. Not the worst option. Jeffrey Springs may not be available. He's gotten off to a weird start. He may have been dropped in your league, but he gets the White Sox, and then the Brewers. Grant Holmes at Toronto, don't love that. And then Twins is like fine. Probably not targeting Dean Kramer. No offense to you. Tyone, love his start or his matches.
I gotta tell you, Maher, the Orioles are bad this year. Like I just think they're not a good team, and I almost put a sizable bet on them to miss the playoffs at plus 165 before the season. And I could not bring myself to be financially invested in them losing. Like I just I couldn't put myself in that headspace. But now I'm feeling like I threw money down the drain.
Yeah, I don't do that either. Some other names they're not going to be available, but Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Framber Valdez, Seth Lugo, but he gets the Yankees, so probably don't in Yankee Stadium, so you probably don't want to do that. Max Maher, potential 2-star pitcher. One of them's at Philly though, so be careful with that one. Joe Ryan. We don't have to go through all these, but like Clay Holmes.
I wasn't trying to go through any of them. You're the one who brought us backwards.
Most of the other ones are going to be either rostered or you don't want to do it anyway. So I think we can shut it down there. Clarke Schmidt. We already talked about him.
Yeah. So what do you got for your weekend excitement here?
So weekend excitement is some of these kind of like mid pitchers who are just like off to like decent starts. I want to see them. They're all pitching this weekend. I want to see them again. So Chris Bubich, really intrigued to like see if he's going to continue pitching like he is. Brady Singer, someone we talked about last week. I'm interested to like see him pitch again. Bowden Francis, and then Mitchell Parker is off to a really strong start. Someone I mentioned as a streamer last week. Is like doing really well. So just kind of like not the biggest names, but pitchers off to intriguing starts that I want to watch them live and see what it looks like. The other one is Chris Sale. Okay, he's not off to a great start. He's an older pitcher with injury history. Is this just like a slow start that he's gotten off to in the past, or is there reason to be concerned here? And he goes Sunday against the Rays and Shane Baz. And then we get another series in Sacramento. We get to see the ball continue to fly out of that ballpark. And I just want to see and like lock in, get another, series under our belts. Like, is this really going to be like another Yankee Stadium or Dunedin or, I guess where the Rays are playing now, like Steinbrenner Field? Like, is this going to be like a top 5 offensive ballpark rest of the season? Because if it is, like, that's something we need to know, both for the players we're targeting and who we're streaming and what we want to avoid.
All right. Like I said, I mean, I'm not saying I'm unexcited for this weekend of baseball. There just wasn't a lot of standout, like, we have to mention how excited we are to watch this. So I'm glad you were able to come up with something to have a little more of a positive end to the episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you listen to the full thing on audio, appreciate the investment in the longer episode. On the video side, if you missed the other videos that came out throughout this weekend, be sure to check those out to get you ready for the week ahead, and also some higher level, more macro level stuff, thoughts on the early part of the season. So we'll wrap up there for Maher. I am Ryan Wormeli. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Be sure to drop comments in if you have ideas on stuff you want to see in the show, or like Maher said, questions on some of the pitching side of things as well. We'll be checking those comment sections too. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you again next week.